Disclaimer, this video is not going to be very positive, so if you don't want like a really negative video bring you down today, don't watch this because this is a bit of a rant. Magic the Gathering Aftermath. That's the joke. So the set that got leaked 2 weeks or 3 weeks prior to it, or the 2 weeks prior to it should have been leaked. It was leaked instead of previewed by a YouTuber. They got hold of the stuff early and they opened some packs on YouTube and the whole thing was spoiled. And the irony being that it was leaked early in its entirety because the set is only 50 cards. So when they just opened up 2 collector booster boxes, wham, bam, thank you, ma'am, they've shown it all off. Fast forward to yesterday. Sorry, not yesterday. I took yesterday off because I saw some family. It was really nice. Went out with my daughter, my sister, my wife. Went and got some lunch. It's really nice. But the day before, they decided to do the whole, like, tune in and find out. And then they just dropped on Twitter and other platforms every card in, like, images, in, like, a thread. Every single card. They previewed the whole thing in one go. Maybe because it was leaked, but it wasn't given to a fucking content creator's preview. People always get really funny about spoilers and leaks and early previews and shit, especially if they haven't been done by a creator or the official source and want to act like it's somehow taking food out of the mouths of baby creators. And here's Wizards of the Coast doing absolutely nothing to involve the community in previewing 50 cards. It's fucking weird. But then we already knew what the cards looked like, but now we can officially talk about them. And the set is, in my opinion, really underwhelming. In today's video, I just want to talk about like how the set looks, the amount of treatments there are, the price of it, and just everything that makes me feel like March of the Machines Aftermath, Magic the Gathering : March of the Machines : Aftermath. Everything about it kind of fucking blows. It's boring. It's boring as fuck. I asked them to bring back the 2-block or 3-block structure to tell more compelling stories, and a finger upon the monkey paw curled. And this is what we got. But before I go into that, here's me trying to sell you some merch. Buy my fucking merch. That's not me trying to sell it. This is me trying to sell it. The bit you're about to see, that was me just saying, buy my playmat for fuck's sake.
Playmats. We all have them, and we all love them. But have you ever had one with a handsome man dressed as a guardian of Thraben on it? What if he is flanked by cute dogs, defending the city's milk supply from the evil clutches of netdeckers? Now is your chance with PleasantKenobi's new merchandise. The FDA has told me I can't say that this playmat will enlarge your penis, but I think I'm allowed to say it might make you friends with the children of the forest.
Oh no, not again.
The FDA wouldn't return my emails about little birds and mammals coming to sing with you, so fuck it. Become Snow White today and befriend all of the woodland animals with PleasantKenobi's new playmat. Available in standard or with a foiled out signature and paw prints. Pick up yours in the link below. Only available until late May and explicitly not guaranteed to engorge your cock. It may or may not attract squirrels, rabbits, and tiny birds for sing-along adventures. Buy yours today!
So let's get it out of the way. Let's get some of the good stuff out of the way. I really like some of the cards in this set. Nissa, Resurgent Animist is a 3-mana Lotus Cobra that will draw you a card each turn the second time you ever resolve its ability by finding you an elf or an elemental in your deck. I'm probably going to play this in Touch Over. Some of the cards are really good. Coppercoat Vanguard, I'm going to play that in Humans in Gladiator. There's a load of cards in here. I'm going to play in different formats. Will I open a single boost of this product? Fuck no. I am abstaining from buying or opening any of this. I may trade for it. I might buy bits on the secondary market. Although if the set bombs, we might have the situation where all the cards are worth quite a bit because no fucker opened the stuff. So the good is there are good cards. The other good parts, the story to an extent. I thought the story for Magic was going into like combinations into a golden age where the storylines were just getting better and becoming more interesting. But then March of the Machines, a set that I actually adore. I fucking love opening that set. I love drafting that set. I love playing with the cards in that set. The set itself is a banger. But March of the Machines story left a lot to be desired. The build-up was really good until it wasn't, essentially. Everything just was like building up to this intergalactic war, this multiversal battle for existence itself, and then boom, it's over. If you kill Elishnorn, the Phyrexians die, because the Phyrexians somehow now are just like bees.
Bees?
Beads.
Beads?
If you kill the Queen Bee, all the bees die. I don't even know if that's true. But the Phyrexians are like bees.
Beads?
So I found that trying. I found that testing. The thing is, there was a load of like story inconsistencies leading up to March of the Machines. I'm going to talk more about Aftermath in a second, but this is important. There was a lot of story inconsistencies leading up to March of the Machines that you kind of let go because you're enjoying the rest of it. There is a thing called suspension of disbelief. You get to look past things that are either unbelievable or don't really make a lot of sense, even within like the weird magical canon of a magical world, because you're enjoying the rest of it. For example, Phyrexian oil now just randomly infects you. It just touches your skin. Something that had never been the case before. The process of Phyrexianization was a long-winded process. You got phoresis and became ill, and then it changed parts of your body and yada yada yada. But now they are literally the Borg from Star Trek, where little tentacles that come out their arm and they'll assimilate you. Okay, there's no tentacles coming out of arms. But if they touch you, you're done. They're more zombie plague. They're more Porg than they ever were. And I was okay to accept that until they just also magically MacGuffin that Elish Norn was the central hive mind of it all because she was selfish, right? They set it up in like a story at the beginning of the arc. And by the beginning of the arc, I mean like on the Tuesday, and they then resolved it by the Thursday. Yeah, you can tell I didn't enjoy all the stories being shit onto our laps in 1 week either. So Elish Norn was the central hive mind, and when killed, Phyrexia just stopped working. That's it. It's all over. We can go home. There's a few other details too, like Zalfnir coming back with Teferi, and then Zalfnir changing places with New Phyrexia to lock New Phyrexia away from the rest of the multiverse. Ren connecting to the Realm Tree. There were cool little bits, but ultimately it did feel like a pastiche of Endgame that ended way too quickly after all the build-up. I just think that a multi-universal war, an invasion of the entirety of the fucking multiverse by the fucking Phyrexians might take more than one set to resolve. But Vince, it did. Here's Aftermath. Aftermath tells us about what happened on planes afterwards. It's the aftermath. Except it fucking doesn't. There are 2 stories on the main website that are perfectly reasonable stories. I really like the Chandra and Nissa one for the interpersonal drama and love that we finally get to see between Chandra and Nissa. I liked it. And that's the thing, I like a lot of the individual stories that we get on their own. But in the greater tapestry of magic, Atraxa shouldn't have been killed in like 1 sentence by a building falling on her. Jin Cataxius, or was it Vorinclex? One of them fell for look behind you, and then somebody who I don't think was a character up to that point that got name dropped in that paragraph cut their head off. This is not how you end the big bad in big bad storylines. Imagine if Thanos showed up in Endgame and just dropped a building on him and they moved on. What the fuck? So anyway, individual stories, fine. But Aftermath has 2 stories total, and a collection of cards. 50 cards to be exact, and it includes the revelation in the story 1 that the majority of Planeswalkers appear to have lost their spark. In the first story, it just mentions that Chandra still has hers. We see that Khan has lost theirs, Nahiri, Koth, and Teferi. Although Koth and Teferi aren't in the set. So we have this set that tells us about the aftermath of losing sparks, and some of the characters aren't even fucking in it. There's just other random characters that aren't mentioned in the story. The actual true aftermath will come in the following sets as we return to planes post-invasion, which I think is interesting. Every plane will have scars and damage from the invasion that we can explore in their own stories. I'm okay with that, but this doesn't feel like the aftermath to an intergalactic, planar war. It just feels like 50 cards that could have been in March of Machines. On one hand, I do think that it's good to spread out story beats across sets. I do think setup, resolution, and 2 sets to give us a breathing room to really soak up the flavour is wonderful. But we had everything happen here, and then we had like, oh, by the way, everyone's lost their sparks here. That was it. The aftermath is not really the aftermath. It's like a bullet point that could have been in here. We should have had the invasion build up to a crescendo and then a stop. And then we have the climax plus after credit sequence in the second set. There should have been 2 sets in the old 2-block method. They were so close, but instead they want to sell us less cards for more money. The aftermath boosters are 5 cards. I think 6 for collector. I've given up even looking at the fucking things. For the same price as other stuff, which is just insane. It's just insane. And this happens in other card games, I'm fully aware, but other card games like Yu-Gi-Oh! As I was told yesterday on Twitter, but I was told that Yu-Gi-Oh's 5-card packs are both cheaper and shocked with higher rarities and reprint. I mean, arguably, there's a higher ratio of rarities in this because there's no common. Also, why is there an uncommon one-sided bite in this set? You can't fucking draft it. Why is this card even in here? Madness Vampire Lord, anyone? Okay, yeah, sure, I guess. This feels like cut content for another set. Planeswalkers being desparked, and a load of them losing their sparks, and Planeswalkers becoming less common across Magic. Maybe we see 1 per every other set now, is an interesting idea. It is a big change-up. But this just doesn't feel like a very exciting way of showing it. Perhaps we are all marred by the fact that it was spoiled 2 weeks ago. But fact, we're already marred by the fact that they sent the fucking Pinkertons to the YouTuber's house to harass his neighbours or whatever. Maybe all of that leaves a sour taste in our mouth. But this doesn't feel like anything. It feels like a side story in a full-on booster release. A side story in a full-on booster release. And something else that I want to briefly touch upon. I'll scroll down Scryfall as we go talk about this. This is March Machines on Scryfall. Mythic Explorer's not updated. So here's all the cards that exist in the set. And as you can see, you've got the normals, right? So you get foils and non-foils of these in some boosters, right? Scroll down, here's the whole set. Done. It's that small. Then we've got showcase cards. I think every card in the set, almost, if not all, maybe barring a couple, have also a showcase frame, both in foil and non-foil. That's 4 variants of each card so far. Oh, etched foil is back, my least favourite border. It looks like a magic card that someone stepped on. That's available in foil and non-foil as well. And if we scroll down a bit more, oh, don't forget extended arts, foil and non-foil to the best of my knowledge. That's 2, 4, 6, 8 versions of every single fucking card. Oh wait, there's more! Halo foils. That's right, some cards, if not all cards, also have Halo foils, and then Spark Rupture has a promo as well. Spark Rupture in particular, if we don't include foils, has 5 different versions of itself. If we include foils, it's 9 different versions, because I don't believe you can get a foil of whatever the fuck this is, the Biobox promo. Does any other card game actually do this? Where like a set of 50 cards would have like 400 different versions or 400 separate entries on a site if you are looking to buy these? I feel sorry for anyone who works as a vendor buying this stuff at events or just working on the back end of a website trying to list this stuff. Because there is literally a minimum of 6, upward towards 8 or 9 versions of any one card, which is, like, it doesn't actually harm the players as such, and it's definitely an issue for the stores. But at some point you draw a line, and I just feel that fucking line should have been drawn before we got to this point. This is so fucking stupid. And on top of all that, we've got all these different treatments that ape March the Machines, that's Showcase, Extended for Border, all the stuff we saw in March. The collector boosters for the set have this packaging, which shows like a, almost like a cyberpunk, a neon, rebel, spray paint, wanted poster, very X-Men Days of Future Past, okay? And this is absolutely absent from the visual design of the set. This is just featured on 1 box of boosters. That's it. Why? If someone were to buy this booster box based upon the art on it, thinking that variants of the cards inside might ape this look, they are going to be so disappointed. They are going to be absolutely fucking gutted. And then it being the aftermath, and then us realising that we actually have to wait for other sets to find out what those planes look like after the war, we also see in the stories we hear of Nissa talking about the removal of her exoskeleton, and Nahiri talking about the removal of metal and the scabbing over of wounds. But by the time we see them and other planeswalkers, they're all just looking like they used to. When we saw the origin walkers, the walkers that showed the creature prior to their spark igniting them becoming a planeswalker, they all had like young versions of themselves shown, and there's iconography and elements of them to make them look younger. Here we see Nissa Vastwood Seer before she transforms to look like the Nissa we know now, complete with robes and staff and green magical energy. There is a young Nissa and an older Nissa. The new Nissa, whilst it does do enough to not look like the Origins Nissa, in the sense that she's wearing the modern day Nissa's clothing, she doesn't do anything to tell us that she's post-Spark Nissa beyond being a creature. Now I get that that doesn't matter from a gameplay perspective because you can tell this is a creature, that's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that from a visual storytelling perspective, you'd think you'd have something to mark that they've been through a huge event. On one hand, you could have them scarred, deformed, or damaged thanks to the war with Phyrexia and then being taken over by Phyrexia, but I can also understand and respect the idea that they don't want to do that. They don't want to disfigure their main characters necessarily. They don't want to front load that trauma visually, so fine. But how about you just give us a visual indicator that they are no longer the Planeswalker version of themselves. Change their clothes a little bit. They're now in Civvy Street, as it were, as opposed to active Gatewatch duty. Why not make them look visually different to what they did before? So that when they change back, they may redon some of, redon, that's not the word, adorn, whatever. They can retake the symbols, the clothing, the items that show off that they are now a Planeswalker. It gives us a visual cue that I think is lacking here. Small thing, but it's just another layer that I found frustrating. So obviously there's a lot of moaning here, a lot of complaining. What else could they have done? Well, ultimately I think it being draft boosters and not being cheaper and being smaller boosters sucks a load of shit. It's a terrible idea, but I think there are other ways that they can approach storytelling like this. My absolute preference would be the 2-block story structure. And we almost had that. We had not March, what was it called? All will be one, Master of the Machine and Aftermath. We kind of had a block structure, apart from Aftermath is feeling like an afterthought, if anything. This all looks like cut content. So they could go back to the old block structure of having actual full-on blocks that can tell a story in more of an engaging way than this. The other way that they haven't explored yet, but I think they could do, is doing non-randomized product. You don't always have to sell us a load of randomized fucking loot boxy, lottery ticket, alternate frame, shiny arsehole variants of stuff. The spell books are right there. Imagine if it was just a load of spell books as such, but they're actually just like Aftermath box or epilogue boxes, which show you each plane. So you have Zendikar, you have Zelthia, you have wherever, and each one has 15 cards in it or less, and each one of those cards shows us an element of what's happened after the Phyrexian invasion, and then we aren't paying over odds for a booster product that no one wants and you can't even fucking draft with. And beyond that, there are commander decks. The Warhammer 40k decks are probably the best example of this, that if you give the design team absolute free reign to make mechanically unique and new cards, it comes with its own issues, because obviously some of the mechanically unique cards in Commander, Dockside Extortions for example, are a problem. But if we just compartmentalise that for a moment, it's kind of a different discussion point that crosses over. But with the Warhammer decks, that didn't break the format in any way. They all had like 40 or 50 plus new cards in them. I think it was like 43 each. Fuck, I spoke about them so much, I can't remember the number. Either way, it was 40 or more. So why not do that for a Magic product? But in this case, make it a set that is designed to tell us the story of the in-between, between this and whatever the next set is, Wilds of Eldraine. You could have a Commander deck that is just the story company to Nissa and Chandra's Kiss. You can have a commander deck that is just a story company to Nahiri, reforging Zendikar to her new, angrier form. The Warhammer decks were a slam dunk of flavour and function. The cards were good because they were allowed to design new cards and loads of them explored spaces we hadn't seen before, and also they just encapsulated Warhammer as a property so fucking well. I would love it if the Commander precons from Magic came close. Some of them are good, don't get me wrong, there are good Commander precons. The new Night one has absolutely exceeded my expectations for the March of the Machine precons. But why can't we have that here? Why can't we use them to expand the story instead of premium priced 5-card boosters of a set that looks like cut content? And I keep saying that it looks like cut content, but it is. These all look like legends that should have been in a commander deck, and then some uncommons that should have been in the main set. And people are saying like, oh, you can't show Nissa Disparts in the main set, it ruins the story flow. March of the Machines showed us Elishnor on one card and her severed fucking head in the hands of Khan on another. If that's not story flow being a little bit all over the place, I don't know what is. And I don't even think that's a bad thing. Some people have complained about it, and I'm like, wow, that's just showing that the set has to show us a storyline, a period of time, and it has to show us bits in all that period of time. That's fine. So don't fucking tell me we can't see a desparked fucking Obnixilis when we go to... Fuck! Aftermath just confuses me. It frustrates me. Tiny booster packs at a heightened price. A load of cards that could have been elsewhere. A story moment that feels half-baked. Perhaps because the progress of the story just shot off a cliff and crashed and burned. Or perhaps because it could have been more well realised in a different kind of product. It's not to say that everything's bad on here. There are cool designs. People are excited for Nahiri because she has affinity for equipment and she casts things for free. And that's really cool. It's a cool little space. I will say, though, having another red-white legendary that cares specifically about equipment is tiring. So maybe this is not the best example. Why did it get done like this? Maybe things got mixed up in the weeds. Maybe they wanted to do an epilogue and it ended up being a booster set because that's the first thing they thought of and it never really got considered to be anything else. Or perhaps it's easier to sell us stuff this way. It's easier to put another release in the calendar and it's easier to make money from us for this. Coppercoat Vanguard is evidently an uncommon draft around card, or if we're honest, a constructed staple in a human's deck if it's viable in a format somewhere. Pioneer, Explorer, Historic, or even Standard. So this card isn't just a limited include, but it is a card that will synergize in constructed decks that is included in this sort of small update expansion, which makes it feel like all of this stuff is kind of like the Alchemy sets on Arena, where they re-explore the main set via some digitally unique stuff, rebalance some stuff, and ultimately it's just another release for you to have to buy into to know what's going on. If anything, this is just alchemy in paper, which is weird because does Standard in paper even exist anymore? Ultimately, I think Aftermath is a failure on almost every single front, and I find it frustrating to look at. I think the behaviour around it, I think the leaking of it was a shame, not necessarily their fault, but they could have ran with it better. Why didn't they do these releases of previews a week or two earlier when it got out there? Why send private detectives to his house to accuse him of stealing and then launch it 2 weeks later? It's fucked. The whole thing is fucked. And I find it really frustrating. It's a sour taste too, because I have been really enjoying Magic lately. I've been wanting to make positive content about how much I really like Gladiator and Arena, how I don't think all digitally unique cards are bad, and how March Machines was a phenomenal set with incredible user interface choices around showcase frames and, well, except for MLT, I guess. But it's just, March Machines is awesome. I love the set. I feel so invigorated and excited about Magic. But this feels like a blunder. This feels like a thing that I kind of want to ignore, but you can't ignore stuff if you're as entrenched as I am. Not everything is for everyone, but honestly, I kind of wonder, who the fuck is Aftermath even for? That was my little rant about Aftermath. Just some thoughts. I didn't even write a full script down. I just put some notes down, I turned the cameras on, and off we went like some sort of pocket erotic? What the? My voice is going. Pocket rockets. You pull me out, you turn me on and throw me at them and I just have them. Just punch them right in the gullet with facts and logic. Take that, atheists. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to subscribe. If you want to support the channel, hit my Patreon link down in the description below. And the playmat links are down there too. They're available till late May. Pick them up. Helps to support the show. And I think the art is incredible. Thanks for watching. Well, I'll see you all soon. Ta-ta for now.